What is going on? Welcome back to Financial Journey. So today we're going to talk to you about Lucid. I want to go over some of the current data points, what really happened today, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So starting off, Lucid did go down 5.61% today, piggybacking off of multiple different things, one of which was just straight up Tesla had their earnings, and whatever happens to Tesla, good, bad, and the ugly, that trickles down to the whole EV sector. And Tesla did go down a very astonishing 12.33%. When it comes down to power hour, you saw a lot of stocks such as Tesla, SoFi, many others just sell the hell off because of GDP coming out tomorrow. So once again, that's going to be another roller coaster day, and that's followed by PCE on Friday. So anticipate a lot of crazy days. Nobody needs to go to Disney anymore. This is more than enough fun for everyone. But aside from that, though, you also did have manufacturing data coming out first thing. And it was at 40, or it came in at 49.5, so a little bit more of a signaling of a slowing. So once again, not the best, but with all of this data, as you can kind of see right here, now there is a 10.2% likelihood of a 50 basis point cut for the September 18th meeting. The only negative to this is I live in Canada, and today we actually did have a second cut of 25 basis points. So we were the first country of the G7s to cut the first time, and I believe the first country to do a second cut. The only problem is, for the second cut, they started to cite about recession. So keep in mind, when it comes down to rate cuts, there's different mentalities. If they're cutting for purposes of, for instance, that they beat inflation and whatever else, then yeah, that's fine, that's good. But if they are starting to cut because of, to avoid a recession, that's a whole different ball game. That's where a lot of fear is going to spike. And because of what came out from companies unveiling their earnings, big tech and manufacturing data, this is where literally seems like over the last 24 hours, I don't know if you can actually search that somewhere, the hashtag just recession. I'm sure that is through the roof. So a lot of people are starting to talk about that. So again, that is all influencing Lucid and just the broader market. So that's kind of your sum for the day. All in all, Lucid did have a fairly good recovery up until GDP fear started to kind of settle in, but 33.2 million shares being traded, 35.5 is the average. These are some of the transactions that did occur on the secondary market above $100,000. So you did see some buying coming from institutions. So it's nice to see that at least big money was buying Lucid. That can't be said for a lot of other growth stocks. And I want to go over some data points. Before I do, I want to go over the dreaded questions. And just so you guys are aware, no new press releases today, no SEC filings, nothing like that. So without further ado, so this is the top questions. I did a video, I think it was yesterday, in fact, or whenever. It wasn't the best. So that was my first reactions to the actual questions. So I sorted it based off of top voted. So this is why I've really stressed that yesterday was a very important day for these questions, because typically whatever is submitted that day does get asked during the questions. And so far, nothing really has changed. So Paul's question is still number one, 605 votes, 1.8 million shares represented. So ultimately profitability question. This one, is it true that Nissan has invested with Lucid? So keep in mind, this is saying invested, not actual partnership or anything like that, because I've seen some people on social media saying that there's a partnership coming. This question is posed that they invested. So it's kind of different. It might be more of a similar scenario to what NVIDIA does with a lot of those startup AI plays where they just invest. But in my opinion, this question is immediately a no, because if Nissan did invest a significant amount, there would be a 13G form submitted, and there has been nothing. So I think this one could be fairly ruled out. So once again, even though there's 542,000 shares represented, this question is going to be a immediate no. And then finally, just more affordable vehicles. I oddly did get a lot of hate. I kind of just threw it out there because it doesn't logically make sense why these questions are being posed. I kind of just threw it out there saying that maybe Lucid employees are posing these questions and whatever else. So I made it very clear that I was just speculating. Some people took it for very, very 100% accuracy or whatever, but it's just these types of questions. Someone clearly posed it, and knows nothing about Lucid whatsoever, because we already do know, like, Lucid has made it 100% crystal clear by the end of 2026, or roughly around that time period, there's going to be that mid-size SUV. So that's going to be the pivot for Lucid. So I don't know if this question is more oriented towards they want a vehicle kind of after the Gravity, if there's something planned for that, but still that should have been reworded. This one's about the high-end day, so I think that one is kind of a good question. This one's complex, but in my opinion, I think it definitely is very well suited for Peter to answer, so I think this one is a good one. And then some people again said that I get it. I get Lucid has gone down a lot, but this question has been asked the last 2 earnings, so once again, not the best. But beside the point, you guys are not here to hear me rant about this anymore, so these are the top questions. There was this that did come out, so I actually just had someone message me, so I'm going to give them a shout out. Timothy right here. So about this, he asked about this long option right here. So I want to break that down. So today there was 599,000 in calls, 1.91 million in puts. Sentiment wise, 51% of all the options being done today were optimistic and bullish. But Timothy's question was more asking about this. So this huge put, 1.2 million in fact. So let's break this down and what this truly is. So if we click on this, it actually shows it's more of an iron condor strategy. So you do see that there was both puts, so a 350 put and also $3 put that was purchased and potentially even sold. So one was a bearish move, one was a bullish move, clearly more oriented towards the downside. So this is where you can have very, very complex strategies for options. I say this a lot, probably too much so, but you guys really need to learn options. I did a video in the past, but I can do another one just on basic stuff, just on basic calls, puts, what to do if you're bullish, what to do if you're bearish. But there is a lot of complex strategies, and this was clearly one entity doing what they call an iron condor. So you're kind of, something is going to go in a certain direction, which in reality this is bearish, so they are down, kind of anticipating for it to go down, but at the same time they're hedging just in case it goes the other way. So it's kind of good. It kind of locks in and limits your profit for the most part, but nonetheless, this is what they did. So 745,000 in one trade and then 445 in the other. So the 445,000 is a bullish trade and then vice versa downside. So that's what that trade, what that one was. So you can kind of break it down on absolutely everything. So a lot of common strategies do that and whatever else. So let me know your thoughts on that in the comments below. As far as moving on, so of the call options that were purchased, there's a consensus for it to be above $4 by the end of next week. And then looking at puts, you do see a consensus for it to be sub $3. So more of a continuation of a breakdown. This is the current open interest. So roughly around 9,000 at that 350 strike price, 10,000 at the 4, 5 at the 450, and then 7 at the 5. Moving on to shorts. Surprisingly, very, very surprisingly, shorts returned 5.53 million. I cannot fathom why they did that. So shorts returned with the Lucid and also a couple other heavily shorted stocks I do cover. I can't really think of logically why they did return some shares unless they feel that today was unjustified. That's the only thing that I can come to the conclusion from. But tomorrow is GDP, followed by PCE the following day. So it's very, very weird. But net, so that's after all their trades. They didn't just do one transaction, but throughout the day, net, they returned 5.53 million shares. 27% of the free floats being shorted. That works out to be 239.1 million shares overall are being shorted. Cost to borrow average is 18.75, and then utilization is 90.32. And I always like to educate as best as I can. So I'm sure some of you might be wondering, well, hold on. If shorts returned 5.7 or 5.5 million shares, how on earth did Lucid go down so much? Institutions and also algorithmic trading, because I believe that there was an article that said that on average, roughly around 15 to 20% of the daily volume is not just in Lucid's case, the broader market is algorithmic trading. So that is what is really piggybacking off of the sentiment of the market and kind of doing trades based off of that. So you do have some institutions selling, and just in Lucid's case, it's probably a little bit more so around the probably 30 to 40%. So just algorithms are taking it down. So all in all, this is kind of why Lucid did go down, even though you do see some institutions for the most part buying, because this only shows one picture. This only shows transactions above $100,000. But if they're constantly doing $50,000 transactions, it still will make a very big difference. So there's a lot of things to analyze when kind of looking at the market, and this is why I like to go over everything, just so you guys have a clear picture of everything, and then ultimately you guys make your own decision, right? So that's kind of the basis of all that. But with it closing at $3.28, it is trading between this S2 and this S1. The low for today was $3.25, and that is that S2. So we know that's a strong support. Whether it holds tomorrow or not, we'll just have to wait and see. Obviously dependent on the data, GDP. But if it doesn't hold, then $2.96 will be the following support level. On the flip side, let's say data is good, $3.43 is going to be that next strong resistance / target. And that was relatively high for today, so that's why it did bounce off of that general area first thing, so I had a nice spike up. But as of right now, on the actual chart itself, still higher percentile of the Bollinger Band. Tomorrow, if it is negative, then it will be transitioning into the lower. You do see at the stochastic 46, so it is rather kind of arguably now neutral / if it does continue oversold. You do also see at the same time a bearish deviation, so red line above the white, as well. Number of retail investors were selling out today, so number of investors obviously just locking in profits or whatever else. So give yourself a shout out in the comments. Did you buy today? Did you sell? Are you part of this group right here that sold? Or what's your thoughts? And when it comes down to shorts returning that amount, do you think that it's for some specific purpose? Is it just to double the hell down? Because keep in mind, with institutions essentially selling, a lot of this is derived from shorts, right? So when I go over this, like this kind of section right here, the available shares, that is simply supply and demand. So the fact that it did go from roughly about 6.4 to where it is now 1.3, that does mean some entities did sell. So that's obviously factoring in everything, and so that kind of shows maybe some bigger entities also did sell Lucid today. That's maybe why shorts were returning some shares today. It's a very, very fun day, but it should be a funner next couple of days as well. So like I said, nobody ever needs to go to Disney or any roller coaster or do anything like that, because we invest in Lucid and the market, and it is a massive, massive bloodbath today. So let me know your thoughts. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up. And one thing that you can do though to get some free shares and some free money is sign up for Moomoo. Simply sign up for a new account, throw $100 at it, and they give you 5 free stocks. Each stock is valued up to $2,000. Link in the description below and also the comments. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.